Peace, everybody. It's that time again. Uh, Visionary Empaths Unite. So, I have an extraordinarily special guest for this edition. I'm not sure if you had a chance to check her bio, but she is absolutely amazing, doing amazing work for women. She has, hey, Marshall, how are you? So glad that you could join us this evening. My guest tonight has done several leadership trainings. She's a coach. She is definitely a visionary and pioneer, especially assisting women who are the first in many endeavors. And so, Laura, if you're there, I hope you are. Hey, Keela, how are you? Thanks for joining us this evening. Hey, India, how are you? So, I guess, well, first, let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. Hey, Emma, how are you? So good to see you. So, my name is Ber-Henda, and I'm a visionary empath coach, and I work with women. And I work with women who are empaths, but also have a deep calling and vision for this world. And the visionary empath, the intersection where they meet, is around having a charge. So I recently did a workshop and I explained more in depth about what the visionary empath. So they have a particular area in which they're led to serve or even take care of. They feel very beholden to a particular group. So, for example, they are geriatric empaths. There are medical empaths. They're plant and earth empaths. They're also emotional empaths. And so these folk typically end up in areas of education. You may see them as social workers. You may even consider them as your emotional first responders. These are the people that are able to shoulder very large emotional burdens. They're also highly intuitive, so they typically know when something is a myth, when something is off. You often feel extraordinarily calm around them. They have a very calming presence. You could talk to them for hours. They're very easy to talk to. However, being an empath, it can be energetically very draining. You absorb the feelings and thoughts of others into your own being. And it can be very, 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 very toxic if it goes unchecked. And you can pick up emotions and grief of others, and it doesn't even belong to you. And so in many cases, we may think that it's either depression or anxiety. And definitely, I'm not saying you not go to a therapist, because I cannot diagnose, but go to a therapist if you're experiencing any of those emotions. But through shielding and blocking, you can stay grounded and make sure that any energy that you pick up goes back out to where it belongs and you welcome your own essence and energy back. And so the purpose of doing these weekly conversations is that there's so many voices and perspectives to help fellow empaths cope, deal, but also vision, because there's that visioning piece that helps you navigate placemaking and ways to show up in the world. And so I'm so excited to have this time with you all this evening. So you can join us here via my Facebook page, live every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. And if you want to stay up to date, please log on, and I'll leave this in the message section if you have not done so already. So check out my website. And my website is here, and you can sign up for our newsletter. Then that way you stay up to the minute on everything that's happening with myself in terms of workshops and programming and events. So if you log on to, and then there's also a free gift for you to sign up. The sharing is caring. You can find everything right here. All right. So, hey, Brianna, how are you? Oh my God, it is so good to see you. Brianna says, this is seriously so amazing. I can't stay, but I love this so much. So many things you're saying. Yes, I hope, Brianna, you are definitely a visionary empath. The placemaking that you want to create. So shout out to all my Reiki sisters. We all got certified at the same time. We went through the marvelous Adela Nieves. So, yeah, Bree, come back. Hit me up in the replay. Love seeing you. Hey, Herschel, how are you? Chuck, the wine guy, how are you? So glad to see you. So great to see everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest on. Right, I am adding Laura. I've been waiting for this. Many of us have been waiting for this all week. Hey, Laura, how are you?
Hi!
How are
I'm
you?
so
Me
excited.
too. Oh my goodness, your energy is palpable. I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we could spend this time together. How are you?
Me too. I'm fabulous. How are you doing this evening?
I am fantastic. I couldn't wait. I'm like, I was moving
Oh,
everything around, like rushing to get home, to get set
yeah.
up. Yeah, so that we can have this conversation. I mean, your bio, I mean, I don't even think I can truly do it
Oh,
justice of all the
thank
amazing
you.
things, yeah, that you are doing and have done, especially being such an advocate for women walking in their truth and helping
Yes.
to initiate them to be the first in many cases. And it's okay to be the
Yeah.
first. I know it can be scary, but just what you're doing, I just feel like it's just groundbreaking work.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
necessary work. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. So, if you can share with the people, coaching and speaking and training,
Yes.
again, those are,
Yes.
look, and I feel like I'm just skimming the surface of who you are. But if you could tell us in your own words, who you are, what you do, and how you came to embrace your empathic nature.
Well, kind of some of the things that you shared, kind of to rewind just a couple years ago, I was someone who found myself in a corporate environment and where many can relate. I felt
Oh
really
yeah.
called to be doing more, but I didn't know what that was. And kind of talking about the empathic piece, I was very involved in community leadership. I was the president of the junior league here locally and really got involved that way. And just that was more what unleashed my potential, really
Mm,
learning to empower the women around me. And just that I had that gift between, tapping into people's feelings and really seeing and holding a bigger vision for them than they did for
mm,
themselves.
yeah.
So I did for the whole life cycle of it. It took me from the time I started feeling like I was in the wrong spot to the time that I went off on my own to do my business. Like you mentioned, I do leadership coaching and business strategy. I do motivational speaking. I share my energy, my motivation that way with people. But it took a full 7 years. So when you shared earlier and when people do before I'm speaking some of the things that I've accomplished, I really point out like, before that I really wouldn't have had a lot to share because I was still trying to figure things out. I didn't know
Yeah.
myself. I didn't know what my strengths were. I didn't know. I mean, I felt like I was being pulled forward, being pulled to something else, but I was so scared I would make the wrong first step that
Mm-hmm.
instead I really didn't do a lot. So I'm super grateful that I did have that opportunity to be very involved in community leadership because by giving myself to others, that's really when some of those pieces, I started getting some of the feedback. I'm like, oh, you're really good at these things. And I
Mm-hmm.
really, if I felt so lit up and it was like, well, why do
Ooh.
I love this piece so much? But work was just hard and it was draining my energy. And I didn't realize sometimes when you're not doing what you're called to do, that piece is, the boredom and, just that frustration and kind of, I say it's like almost like soul sucking.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So I
Yes.
was like, if I
Yes.
can feel this way doing, volunteer work and doing some of these other, passions that I started pursuing with the coaching on the side, I was I was like, I can bring this to my work. I can figure this out. So I ended up starting my own business because I
Yeah.
wasn't finding the right fit for me in a corporate or a nonprofit environment.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was this kind of especially when around like the confidence of
Yeah.
starting your own business.
Yeah.
It felt like to me as you were talking like there was some sort of internal mechanism that was like guiding you, and it
Yeah.
showed up initially
Mm-hmm.
as volunteer work, but there
Yes.
was a soul kind of pull like, okay, go this way.
Mm-hmm.
And because we know you, look, we got something over here
Yeah.
you're gonna like you're gonna like
Yes.
this. Come get
Yes.
it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was really, it was one of those where it wouldn't go away. You know, they say like follow the dream that keeps coming back. And
Mm.
I just, I just knew that something else was out there. And I think that that's part of why I felt like I was spinning my wheels for a long time because it was like, I, I didn't have the clarity or the vision, but I just felt it so
Mm-hmm.
strongly.
Mm-hmm. 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 Totally. And so for our fellow empaths who are watching, you guys, please feel free to, ask questions because
Mhm.
this is a dialogue. We want people to
Yes.
walk away feeling empowered, and we're sharing our stories and sharing our
Yes.
truth. And so I love how, you know, you just said follow the dream that keeps showing up. So can you share with us maybe some dreams that you had, or maybe deja vu of things that kind of pointed and helped you, because it felt like you found your true north, you
Hmm.
found your north star. So if you can share, were there any dreams, hunches, premonitions that led you to do this work?
Yeah, I would say I definitely was having reoccurring like visions, dreams, around kind of the speaking piece, around being it wasn't clear to me, it was very blurry, but it was around this piece around helping women and knowing that I was here to do that, to help women feel more empowered, to help them own their truth, and really, especially in the workplace and in their businesses. Like, and you really
Mhm.
hit on it right away, that confidence piece, to be able to say that you can take action, you can honor your gifts and your dreams, and those little actions are what is going to build your confidence. And so for me, like, it was like the combination of getting to know myself more and
Mhm.
better and to stay
Mhm.
at it. I went to a training, and I'm in the Midwest, and I went to a training in September. My dear friend Rachel O'Mara had invited me to an emotional intelligence training at the Wright Institute. It was amazing.
Ooh.
It was amazing. I'll have to send you a link for your group here.
Yeah, please.
And it was such a phenomenal training, but I got back the next day and I was having a talk with my boyfriend. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm just getting started." And he was kind of, laughing at me because I get so like dramatic about it, because I've been
But
on
no,
this
it's
journey
so
now.
lifting. Yeah. No, you
Hmm.
get lit. I mean, it's hard to
Yeah.
explain, but like when you said
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, it lit me up
Yes.
just as much.
Yes. Yes. And for me too, it's like back in those days of the corporate and knowing there was something else out there, I didn't truly know what my potential is. I know I had more of a potential, but I think that
Mm.
that's something that people don't stress enough when you go through these transformations, is that where your potential is, like for us right now, here today, and where our potential is even next week or next year. Or can you imagine what we're going to be doing in like 10 years from now? If you keep building, if you keep working on yourself, if you keep being your best self,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about being perfect, it's about besting your best.
I
Just
love
trying
that.
to
Best in
improve
your
a
best.
little bit every day
Yeah,
and really staying on that. It just, anything is possible.
that's right. That's right. And I love how you said like the emotional intelligence piece, and I feel like as an empath, what I'm seeing,
Yes.
like you're born with it. Like you
Yep.
are emotional
Yep.
intelligence. You are always at the pulse at
Yep.
whatever people are thinking and
Yeah.
feeling. And I'm sure as a coach that definitely helps you better serve your clients because you're like right to the minute
Yeah.
of where they are. You've
Yes.
experienced well, of course, experience it, but also like you're experiencing it with them. You're
Yeah.
helping them with the emotional labor. And so we got a question here. It says, "What was it like starting your own business? I've had dreams about helping other people."
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Oh my gosh. All I can say is do it. It was the most scary and exciting thing I've ever done in my life. I worked in the corporate environment for 14 years. It was actually my college internship. And the day I had to resign, I spent 5 hours picking up the phone, starting to dial because my boss worked in a different state, And it took me 5 hours to finally let that phone ring through to her. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. And I just like burst out in tears because I absolutely adore her. She's one of my favorite people. And
Mm,
they always tell you, like in the corporate, oh, people, people don't leave companies, they leave their manager. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could like, I mean, she was like I just can't even get the words. She was like that amazing of a person to me.
yeah.
So like, but it was just like I was being called for something different and more, and I just knew it wasn't there, and it was really slowly like killing me.
Yeah. 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 And it wasn't
Yes.
personal. It was spiritual. Like
No.
you just knew that within your soul, within your being,
Yeah.
you were created for something, so
Yes.
much
And
more.
yeah. And I was lucky, like, I had people cheering me on because from the point that I know I was doing this for a while, but it went really fast from the point I started kind of telling people. And the more I told people, the more I made it real. And almost everyone was cheering me on. And the few people that were they were scared for me. Like, that was their fear, their realities. And, but it's like the best decision I've ever made. Like, there's always like that second or two in the morning where it takes to like compute what your life is. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my life. Like, I'm just so happy. It just,
Hmm.
and it's not to minimize that it's a lot of friggin' hard work. And some
Oh, yeah.
days you're like, when is my check coming? And
Mm.
the other day I had to run and chase down a check. But like, it's, it's so worth it because I know, like, even if I help one person
Hmm.
and something I said has made an impact in their life, like, to me, that is success. Like, the amount of hearts that I'm impacting as much is always going to be more important to me than the money in the bank. And I think you can have both, but like where you're coming from is important too. What's motivating you? What's driving you to start your business and grow your business? Because there are going to be some days that are hard and there's going to be some days that are awesome. But if it's your calling, if it's the thing that you are committed to doing in this life.
And it feels like, even deeper than that, you were never going to be satisfied in any
No.
other space.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you had to do it. Um, it didn't matter kind of what it looked like to others. And I know that, people
Yes.
of course want to protect us and they want to love us and
Mm-hmm.
they want to support us. However, it just felt, even as you're talking, you just feel so alive in your purpose and what you're doing and so resolved.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And, I think too that and for me being able to remove myself from my situation, it was really eye-opening too because the part of getting to know myself better, really I work with a strengths coach was super helpful to really focus on what my strengths were, to know why it was a misalignment for what I was doing in
Mm,
a corporate environment. And for us, talking about we're, highly sensitive around feelings, like corporate HR, I mean, the corporate world isn't always, it's kind of like check your heart at the door. And where I felt like some of that was okay,
yes.
where I was like, it was really like, I call it my work family. Like, I felt like people really did care about me. But as far as kind of having some of those, I remember one day I had to sit a manager down and he was really, really struggling. And they wanted me to focus on like his sales and, really be, what are you doing with your team and all this stuff, where like he had just had like a death in the family and it was really hard on him. And it was like I was supposed to like not really acknowledge that other than be like, oh, I'm really sorry you had that death, versus like, oh my gosh, I think some of these things are connected because that's how we are as people. It's not like you're going to just be like, oh, well, my family member just died, but I really need to get my sales up because it's the end of the year and I need to work on this. And to have kind of some of those conversations that you can have as a coach, really, with your individual clients.
Oh, you just hit on so much right there, checking your heart at the door. I see that in our culture,
Mm-hmm.
we don't include or incorporate mourning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And definitely in the corporate environment, you might get at best, 3 days bereavement. In most companies, it's pretty.
Yes, and mine was a bit more generous depending on who passed. You maybe had a week or, even longer. But you're right, like in general, a lot of companies are not very supportive when you're going through something like that.
Yeah. And so, being able to, in that moment, have a human conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, they're aware that their sales need to be up. They know that.
Yeah.
But there was a devastation
Yeah.
that happened. And of course, it's all energy, it's all tied.
Yeah.
They're not performing at
Yeah.
all.
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I love that you even use that as an example. But I just noticed in our culture, mourning is not something that we give a lot of credence to or allow space for,
Mm-hmm.
the grieving process.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another question here. Um, I have another question. How do you embrace your gift around people who may not understand what an empath is or does?
Well, I think that that's a great question. I think it depends on, who the person is, what the relationship that you have with them. I think for empaths, you really need some strong boundaries. I have a girlfriend who's
Mm.
even stronger. Like she just really sucks in that energy. And I know like she has to really guard herself depending on because some people want to take advantage. They want to do like a negative energy dump.
Mm-hmm. Energy
So it's
vampires.
like,
Yep.
yep,
Mm-hmm.
energy vampires, exactly. And so I think that, really kind of having some of those boundaries to say, what so that you can support the people you want to support. And then there's people too that maybe like I've had to step back from some relationships as well, where it wasn't really a good fit, where I wasn't able to be my full self, and that, I wasn't able to be a good friend. You. And so people where it was like relationship. We cut out a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, it did cut out,
Um,
so I'm sorry about that.
no problem.
Yeah, gotta love technology, right?
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but I think that's really powerful, to erect the boundaries. And as an empath, you really
yeah.
do have to put up your boundaries, even though, like, the human healer, transformer, and you wants to um, have everybody okay, have
Mm-hmm.
everybody understand, because this is just love. Like, it's love. Who doesn't want love, and who doesn't understand, feeling? We're all human. You don't
Yeah.
feel. And, the reality, as I've researched this, the world is not really set up for us because we feel first and then think.
Yeah.
And most people think first and then feel.
Yep.
So having, like you said, those healthy boundaries is really, really important. And I think also freeing, and I'm sure, as a coach and you're helping women to come into not everybody's going to be on board with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. And not everyone wants to heal their pain. So that the
Mm-hmm.
example I was sharing was someone who was in hurting, was really hurting, was really in pain, was being passive aggressive. And, it just was one of those things where like you try to be a good friend, you try to be there to support people, but sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it benefits both you and the person. It's really for the highest good of everyone that
Mm-hmm.
there is a separation that happens. And I know that,
Yeah.
when it comes to like our immediate family, like our mother, father, right, sister, that, those relationships are vital and very important. But I've also found too that you can't tax people in that way.
Yeah.
They just may not have the capacity, and it's unfair to charge them with,
Yeah.
understanding. But it's like we have to love people where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and it sucks. It doesn't always feel
Yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm So tell us maybe some of the clients that you've worked with. Like, what have you seen? Especially with your gift of being empathic. Like, what are some of the pain points that you've been able to walk them through?
I think that, with some of the women that I work with, certainly there's the issue around confidence around being too much, because a lot of my clients are very empathetic as well, and really, shining too bright, taking the spotlight away from someone else, especially in
Mm.
the world of work, and really just playing small in their business, not going after a promotion, or really being negotiating for what they want. I was talking to one of my mentors the other day, and she was sharing that she was helping a person with their business and kind of starting to be at a crossroads, and she felt really strongly about it. And I just kind of sat there, and she's telling me all this, and I was like, I think you need to put a proposal together and double down. Like, you feel that strongly about it, you need to double down, and they need to do it your way, or you need to walk.
How empowering is that? I mean, that speaks.
I know.
When you said double down, and if they don't take it, walk away. That feels like that could be translational, like across all your
Hmm.
relationships, not just work, but
Yeah.
are you in a relationship that isn't serving you?
Yeah.
Are you in a living situation that isn't serving you? Like, what
Yep.
other areas are we not negotiating
Yep.
our
Yep.
value and our worth?
Yep.
And I just got a jolt of energy listening to that. So I hope that your client also felt the same way, to see maybe there are other areas and they're like, well, where else am I like not showing up fully
Hmm.
and not really asking for what I want?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that is very powerful, and I think a very needed conversation. And sometimes, we need that coach to give us the swift kick in the
Yeah.
yeah, to really kind of hold our feet to the fire.
Yes.
Yeah, and ask. I absolutely love that. So we've got another question here. I love these questions. These are awesome. So, how hard is dating as an empath?
Oh, we should bring my boyfriend on the line.
Ooh.
Um, we, you kind of mentioned earlier where often we get connected with more analytical. So he the other day is like, we make really good decisions together. I was like, we do make really good decisions together. But he is really a thinker and a planner, and I'm not as much, although I'm all over the social life though. So he likes that piece of it. But um, it is really can be really challenging, but in like the best way possible. And I think that he evens me out. My parents have made comments that he really calms me down, because when I get a bee in my bonnet, you should watch me go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I remember, sometimes we talk about like in messages or kind of that you've gotten as like, child and beliefs and things like that. And I did get told like quite a bit, because I was like so high energy, so dramatic about things. I was like, oh, calm down, calm down. And so I'm just kind of like that piece of it where it's like, I know, and now I understand why. I feel very strongly about things, even if I just don't need to be, but that's me, and that's my superpower. So
Yes, it is.
that's okay. Um, but it's really like we're just kind of such a compliment to each other, because I'm very high energy and very extroverted, and he's more thoughtful and analytical, and I love the way that his mind works, and that we're able to. It's like the pieces of the puzzle we have, put everything together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. So I've read that for many empaths, and I'm not sure if you experienced this, um, need more time, need a lot of time, maybe alone. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, to kind of recharge. So how does that, play out in relationship?
Yeah, and I think like because he jokes, we actually don't live together. We
Yeah,
live in different
that sounds
different
very
cities,
typical.
and
I
so
actually heard that was a recommendation for
oh,
empaths, that
interesting.
yeah, that it's better to almost have a long distance relationship for the empath, because when you're together, and it's very intentional. And
Yeah,
then the break of the distance is what the empath also needs to recharge. So it is actually ideal
yes,
for an empath to
Yeah.
be in a long distance relationship.
Yeah. And I can see too, because like one of the things with the question that came up earlier around starting my business, like that was something I was worried about because I'd been in the corporate environment and I'm really extroverted. And but now I realize like the days that I have to be in my office and working and doing my own thing. And I think too, because we have different schedules.
Yeah.
So I think that gives me some of the time that I need to like recharge and but even like the little things like we'll go out for, dinner and stuff and I'm just like scanning and looking and feeling, people's energy and how they're
Oh,
responding
yeah.
to the point that like I've started sitting with my back to the room so that I'm really focused on him and our conversations and stuff like that because it's like I just otherwise I'm like
Because it's
101 and
yes, it's a lot. And I've noticed that when I go to places, I like the smaller diner
yeah.
experience as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like a more, I don't know, robust or like the popular restaurant that other people
Yeah.
like to go to because it's just
Yeah.
energetically just kind of a lot to take in. Even like supermarkets, like Costco, like the super centers,
Yeah.
is like okay, it's a little
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little much. So I love that you and your boyfriend have worked, through complimenting one another and the
Yes.
honoring of, the differences. I think that's really
Yes.
supportive. So, so Kelly, look for in the weeks to come. I love this. Um, I'll have some relationship empaths on. We're booked all the way through January of 20.
Nice.
Yes, so we're booked through January 18th. So this is absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited, and I love these truths and insights that you're sharing. So how can people get in touch with you?
You can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter. And
Mm-hmm.
I also have my own website, lauragmeinder.com.
Mm-hmm. 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 So
Yes.
I will definitely, of course, repost all your information so that
Thank
people
you.
can, yeah, so people can get in touch with you and, connect because I just feel like this work of summoning like empath is happening for a very important reason at this particular time. And people are leaving like the traditional, I wouldn't say everybody, but I feel like there is a group of people that are called
Yes.
out of corporate or
Yes.
nonprofit or like the institutions or conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's time for us to help teach and inspire,
Yeah.
in the way, yeah, in the way that we call and to really pay attention to our souls and not neglect that and, honor what's before us or, not ignoring those hunches or as you say, the dream that keeps returning, not turning
Yeah.
over and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and ignoring that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are so powerful. I'm just really so
Thank you.
glad, yeah, that we had this time together. So if there's,
Me
an
too. It was
upcoming,
wonderful to talk to you.
yeah, any event that you have, please tag, share so that we can have this community check in and hear more about this work. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, so you have been absolutely amazing. And I am so glad that we had this time to chat. So I know that we'll be talking to each other very soon.
Great. I can't wait. It was
Yeah.
wonderful to connect and great questions. I really appreciate everyone's
Thank you.
being here. Definitely.
Yeah, and these yeah, the questions have been amazing. So once it's done, I will send you the link over and just my new friend Laura.
Yeah, I
Yay.
love it. So
I love it
excited.
too. Yeah, so Laura, thank you so much for being a guest this evening.
Thank you for having me. It was fabulous.
Absolutely, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.